This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Die in their own home, in their own beds, surrounded by their own family.
This bill is the most permissive assisted suicide legislation in the country.
Dear tamales, one of the best things I've ever had.
We've been talking about attacks like this for close to a decade, and to see it actually come to life like this, it's pretty chilling.
I could watch Christmas movies all year round.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. There was a large rally last night in Westchester over New York's medical aid in dying bill. It's already been signed by the Assembly and the Senate and has been sitting on Governor Kathy Hochul's desk for months. The rally run by those in support of assisted suicide.
He was sick for 8 years and he ultimately chose to stop eating and drinking. It is not a way that anybody should die.
We hear from people who are looking to travel all around the country and even out of the country so that they can access this option, which means that they can't die in their own home, in their own beds, surrounded by their own family.
If Hochul signs it, you'd have to be over 18 and terminally ill to qualify. There are just as many on the other side that say the bill is poorly written and immoral.
I am concerned. What happens when a person says, I don't want to take this drug anymore, and people do it all the time? Is there a safe way to dispose it?
The State Catholic Conference is critical of it, saying the bill doesn't include mental health evaluation of patients.
This bill is probably the most permissive assisted suicide legislation in the country. There's so many holes in this bill that I think it would be, ripe for abuse.
Jason McGuire with New York Family says there are no residency requirements inside, meaning someone from another state could come here as a death destination to end their life.
You would see that. You would see people come from other places, and we could become a tourist destination for some of these suicide ventures. And so we are concerned about that. It's similar to what we have seen with the issue of abortion in our state.
We have more with Jason in a few minutes. Kathy Hochul's office, meanwhile, has released a statement as she weighs the decision to sign or not to sign.
She said it's a weighty decision. There's a lot of passion on both sides, and that she's confident she'll come to the right decision between now and the end of the year. So time is running out.
Deer hunting season starts tomorrow in New York. Some 750,000 hunters will be in the fields and forests through December 7th for regular firearms season, a bit longer for bow hunting. This trio of news anchors at WROC in Rochester offered up tips today for meals with venison.
When I was a kid, my dad's a big hunter, so we'd have a fridge stocked full of it. Steaks, chops, ground, we do it all.
Deer tamales, one of the best things I've ever had.
Nice.
Freezer stocked full.
Deer hunting season in Pennsylvania for firearms starts in a little over 2 weeks on November 29th. Less than 24 hours after the U.S. government shutdown ended, Pennsylvanians have now received their full SNAP benefits. The Department of Human Services says they finished issuing all November aid today for every person in the state on SNAP. Their teams working overtime. They issued $276 million yesterday alone. December will be issued on time. It is the first documented case of a worldwide cyber attack with minimal human involvement using AI software. It happened with the company The First Anthropic. Tech expert Chris Krebs.
I think that this is a sign of things to come. As security experts, we've been talking about events and attacks like this for close to a decade, and to see it actually come into life like this, it's pretty chilling, and there's a lot of work we have to do in the near future, I think, to stem the flow.
The U.S. and Switzerland reached a deal today to sharply lower tariffs imposed by President Trump. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer says Switzerland is vowing to invest $200 billion in the U.S.
Switzerland on the industrial side already has fairly low tariffs, but they've agreed to remove all industrial tariffs. They've agreed to give us market access for things like poultry, which is really challenging for the U.S. and Europe.
In Washington, the Trump administration may be close to confronting Venezuela with ground troops to end the drug war coming out of the Caribbean Sea. CBS's Charlie D'Agata.
As F-35 stealth fighter jets fly missions from a reopened naval base in Puerto Rico, and Marines practice beach landings. Sources tell CBS News the Pentagon is preparing for military action in Venezuela. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chairman Dan Kane presented President Trump with options for the coming days, including strikes inside the country.
Half a dozen people just got arrested in Chicago at another protest at an an ICE facility.
This is the regular Friday protest that we have here outside the Broadview ICE processing facility. A couple hundred people that are here. And what happened in the last 10 or 15 minutes, this roadway that leads to the ICE facility, it is blocked off. They are not supposed to be standing there. But over 10 minutes or so ago, this crowd started to move into the street to try to block it off from any access going in or out. And that's when these clashes with law enforcement started.
It comes after several rulings from judges there in favor of illegal immigration. Russia staged a massive attack on Ukraine overnight that killed 6 people. CBS's Vicki Barker.
The biggest attacks on the Ukrainian capital Kyiv in nearly 3 weeks. More than 400 drones and 18 missiles slammed into houses, schools, apartment buildings, and medical facilities. President Zelensky says apartment buildings appear to be the prime targets, something the Russians deny.
The U.S. House will vote on a measure that forces the Justice Department to release all of its Jeffrey Epstein case files. House Speaker Mike Johnson is required to put the bill on the floor after a discharge petition related to the matter reached the 218 signatures needed. And U.S. faith levels have plummeted to their lowest levels on record. A just-released Gallup poll finds fewer than half of Americans say religion is an important part of their daily lives. That's a 17% drop from a decade ago. Only Greece, Italy, Poland, Chile, and Turkey saw larger declines in faith the past 10 years. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, a deep dive on the brand spanking new Pennsylvania state budget. Is it possible that a Republican can win a statewide office in New York? And more on assisted suicide. But weather first.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast for tonight. Partly cloudy skies, low temperatures, mid-20s to the mid-30s. Tomorrow, some sun in the morning, but clouding up ultimately. Rain and breezes come in from later in the day into the night from west to east. Be mild to though, high temperatures mid-40s to the mid-50s. Sunday, blustery colder, rain showers and snow showers with temperatures falling ultimately into the 30s and low 40s.
Thank you, Kevin. Next at 5, Capital Connection with our own Bob Price and our men in the know in Harrisburg and Albany. Michael Gear with PA Family and Jason McGuire with New York Families. Let's listen in.
Finally, there's some progress to report on the PA state budget. What can $50 billion buy? We're about to find out. Of course, for our audience, the big question is recreational marijuana included in that final deal? What say you, Mr. Gear?
Well, the conversations that we've had up on the Hill does not look like that is part of the final deal, so that's good news, certainly because Governor Shapiro and the Democratic caucus in the House have been pushing very hard for that, and some Republicans as well. That's a bullet that has been dodged, we think, in this budget cycle. But again, sometimes there are these backdoors and things and deals that are made that we don't find out about until days later. So we'll keep a watch on that. But it's certainly good news that after 135 days that the legislature seems to be moving to open things up here in Pennsylvania.
Now let's hope next time they do it a little more prudently and that budget adoption. Let's move on to Albany, Jason. Big news last week. Elise Stefanik formally announcing her candidacy. It happened soon after the off-year election. Nobody in New York needs to be told twice. It's been almost a quarter century since New York has elected a Republican to statewide office, not just the governor's office, any statewide office. It's been over a quarter century. How much of an uphill battle will this be for her against Governor Hochul next year?
Well, there's no question that for any Republican candidate, it's always a tough slog here in the Empire State. But I will say this for Representative Stefanik, she's already coming in with a much higher name ID and better financed than any candidate really in recent history, going back almost 25 years now. And we're excited to see what's going to happen here in New York with really it's going to be probably a hotly contested election going into 2026.
Yeah, and of course in Pennsylvania, they got another gubernatorial race there. Governor Shapiro, he is going to be tough to beat in the Keystone State. He's got a book coming out, and but there's a couple Republicans that may want to take him on. One, Stacey Garrity, state treasurer. The other, State Senator Doug Mastriano, who ran against him last go-around. Do you think it's good for Pennsylvania Republicans for there to be a primary battle, or would it be better for them if the party just settled on one candidate, Garrity or Mastriano?
Well, it's interesting to think about this race coming up because of Shapiro having presidential ambitions. You mentioned the book that he's writing, and so we think maybe he'll take his eye off the ball a little bit, be thinking about 2028 so much that the gubernatorial
gubernatorial race is going to be second fiddle for him, and maybe he'll be a little soft on that. But Doug Mastriano ran against Josh Shapiro at a time when Josh Shapiro was more likely to be defeated by him as a candidate, and yet Mastriano was beaten badly. And now with Shapiro as an incumbent and a popular incumbent, that would make it a tall order, I think, for Mastriano. Stacey Garrity has an uphill climb. She has a Republican endorsement, but that is a race that we'll be watching.
All right. Well, let's talk about Governor Hochul a little more in New York, Jason. She has until the end of the year to decide whether she'll veto or sign the physician-assisted suicide bill, which was passed in the state legislature back in June. Is it true that there are no residency requirements in this legislation, meaning someone from another state who wishes to end their life could come to New York State, make the Empire State sort of a death destination for those who are committed to this practice, this heinous practice of physician-assisted suicide?
Yeah, it is true. There is no residency requirement in the legislation. If signed into law, you would see that. You would see people come from other places, and we could become a tourist destination for some of these suicide ventures. And so we are concerned about that. It's similar to what we have seen with the issue of abortion in our state. You can come here from anywhere, and we'll pay for it, we'll fund it, and you can have your abortion here, even if you're coming from a state that is more restrictive on the issue.
Yeah. Are attitudes changing about physician-assisted suicide like they have in just recent years with abortion as we learn more about it? And we look into Canada, for instance, where it's just like 4% of the overall death rate now is the result of physician-assisted suicide.
I think it is. Part of the role that we play here in New York is to try to slow things down enough until the culture can catch up with the realities of what is happening. And if you watch what happened in Canada, they're soon to announce that there have been 100,000 assisted suicide deaths there in that country. And legislators here, even during the voting period, many of them expressed concern over what was happening in Canada. So if the governor vetoes this, it buys more time for the culture to wake up to the grim realities of assisted suicide.
Yeah. Well, 10 years ago, Michael, the U.S. Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage in all 50 states. I still can't believe it's been 10 years. And this week, the High Court declined to revisit that case, Obergefell v. Hodges. Should they have at least looked at the merits of the case brought by Kentucky clerk Kim Davis?
Well, I think like the Roe versus Wade decision, Obergefell was kind of made up out of whole cloth, that there really is no constitutional mandate for legalization of so-called same-sex marriage. So they went too far, and I think the road back needs to happen. Whether or not this particular case was the one to do it is a question mark. A lot of people, court observers, including those who oppose same-sex marriage, saw this as not the case with the facts and the background that was one that the Supreme Court was going to take up. But I think eventually the court is going to have to look at this issue because I think Obergefell was wrongly decided.
You can subscribe, listen to, and share Capital Connection and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org.
Work is more than a paycheck. It's a part of our design as God's image bearers. Hi, I'm Rob West with your Faith and Finance Minute. From the beginning, God designed us to work. In Genesis 2:15, Adam was placed in the garden to work it and keep it. Earning money through honest labor reflects God's image as creator and provider. But while we work, Scripture reminds us it's God who ultimately provides. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the power to get wealth." Our jobs are the channel, but God is the source. Faithful, steady work honors Him. And when we labor as God designed, we're doing more than earning a living. We're reflecting His image, meeting needs, blessing others, and pointing the world back to our ultimate provider. Manage your finances wisely with the easy-to-use FaithFi app. Download FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store, or learn more at faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, Hallmark is about to release a movie filmed in Buffalo. The screening was last night. We'll take you there after one last look at weather.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. A quiet night is ahead tonight. The weekend starts dry, but low pressure and an attending front will bring wind and rain. Later Saturday and Saturday night, much chillier air with gusty winds, falling temperatures, and rain showers changing to snow showers to call. For Sunday, some lake effect could follow. The call for tonight, partly cloudy skies, low temperatures, mid-20s to the mid-30s. Tomorrow, some sun in the morning, but clouding up ultimately. Rain and breezes come in from later in the day into the night from west to east. Be mild to, though, high temperatures mid-40s to the mid-50s. Sunday, blustery, colder. Rain showers and snow showers with temperatures falling ultimately into the 30s and low 40s.
All right, Kevin, finally at 5, Buffalo Bills fans packed an East Aurora theater for a rally and Hallmark movie premiere last night. Holiday Touchdown, a Bills love story, will air for the first time at 8 p.m. on Saturday, November 22nd on the Hallmark Channel. The film crew shot all over Buffalo.
It's really a love letter to Buffalo. So if you guys like Fiddler's 5 and 10, obviously Barville, we've got Canal Side, we've got the fan cave, Matt Devine's fan cave.
Buffalonians told WGRZ they're eating it up.
This here is just an example of Bill's spirit and heart.
We love Hallmark. I could watch Christmas movies all year round.
Go check that film out November 22nd, A Little Buffalo on Hallmark. And that's the world that we live in for Friday, the 14th of November. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.